In this video, we're going to do a little bit of an analysis to see what kinds of sports card related videos are getting the most views out there in the YouTube sphere. The reason I wanted to do this is just to get a better sense for the kind of content that a larger portion of the hobby community is soaking up. I find this kind of thing interesting, and I think it can help us to understand a bit more about the hobby community's mindset and mentality. So let's get into this. When I first started putting together this video, I quickly came to realize that the majority of the largest sports card YouTube channels are breaking related channels. But I didn't want this video to mostly just be an exploration of breaking channels. That'd be boring, and I don't think it would provide much insight. Instead, what I've done is I broke up the channels into 4 different categories and found the biggest channels within each category, and those will be the channels that we'll look at. The categories are, the first one, breaks and ripping, mostly. Second one is vlogs, mostly. The third is like a collector's showcase, mostly. And the fourth is kind of general hobby topics and discussions, mostly. I say mostly because a lot of the channels have a mixture of things, but there's oftentimes a certain thing that's the main thing. In order for the channel to be included for this list, it also had to have at least uploaded 1 video per month for at least the past few months. I didn't want to find a bunch of stuff that was old, that's not really uploading things anymore. I wanted to find active channels that are still contributing to the discourse in some way. To get this list, I used this Medium article, which I will link below, which is actually an article written by somebody who submitted it to my own publication that I have on medium.com. So check out his article if you want to have a jumping off point to find all of these channels. And then we'll do a little bit of a different exploration for each of these categories. For the breaks, ripping category, as well as for the blogs category, we'll look at the top 5 channels. We'll look at a few from Collector's Showcase, and then we'll look at a few more from the kind of hobby topics and discussions category, a little bit more in that category than in other categories. I chose to do it this way because I think that last category is where we can get the most insight into the kind of the nature of the conversations that are most common within the hobby community, because that's kind of where those videos, those channels are more conversational. But we're going to do that one last. So the first we're going to do is we're going to look at the 5 largest breaking, ripping packs related channels, which is the largest single category by far. Number 5 is the Z-Re channel, 55K. We'll go through these a little bit more one by one, but let me just list the 5 first. Number 4 is the Layton Sports Cards channel, 58,000 subscribers. Then we have Lootbox TV with about 85,000. Number 2 is Jabs Family with 135,000. And then Pac-Man with 223,000. And Pac-Man actually is the single largest channel in the sports card space, larger than the second largest is Sports Card Investor. Pac-Man actually has more subscribers. Now, if we look at each channel, let's see what insights we can take away. Pac-Man, if we look at his most watched videos of all time, it's kind of a mixture of like long form videos where he's opening just a ton of stuff, as well as a few that are like the really high-end products and high-end type of things that he's ripping. My impression is that most of the people watching Pac-Man are doing it just to watch somebody opening a bunch of stuff, so they don't have to spend their own money on those kind of expensive things themselves. That's kind of the long and short of it, really. And that seems to be a popular thing for a heck of a lot of people, as can be seen by the fact that this is the biggest sports card channel on YouTube. Jabs Family is the second biggest channel in this category, but I don't think we need to spend too much time here. And the reason is because though there is still new uploaded content regularly, most of the videos with the most views are actually from quite a few years ago, and many of them actually have nothing to do with sports cards. I actually had to scroll quite a bit down the list of most viewed videos to find anything that's been uploaded in the last few months or something that have gotten anything close to the viewership that the channel used to get a few years back. So I think the largeness of this channel now has more to do with the past than it has to do with the present. So I don't know how much we can learn, related to what we're kind of exploring here from this channel now. Next is Lootbox TV, which is the 3rd largest active ripping, breaking YouTube channel that I could find. Looking at their most viewed videos, they're all from 1, 2, or 3 years ago. In fact, there was an extremely long amount of scrolling I had to do before finding any of their videos from the past 6 months that are in their top viewed videos, despite the fact that they continue to upload similar kinds of content quite regularly. It seems like their highest viewed videos were right in the middle of the big card boom. Kind of seems like a lot of people have approached this channel with the same kind of mindset as they do with Pac-Man, as in watching somebody opening some products so they don't have to spend that money themselves, but perhaps their slowdown in viewership compared to Pac-Man does show something about maybe a slowing kind of stamina people have for just watching packs be ripped. It's not that it's not popular. I mean, this is still a huge channel, and everything I'm talking about in this category is still really a huge thing, but it does seem like it has slowed down a lot compared to some of the other topics we're going to look at in other categories that seem to have been building momentum rather than losing momentum like this one has. Next is Leighton Sports Cards, is the fourth biggest channel in this category, and this is the first of these ones that is pretty much exclusively just a breaking platform. The above channels do run breaks sometimes, but this channel is pretty much only that. And the biggest videos on this channel, once again, they're largely from during the sports card boom or even further back. Very few recent videos from the last 6 months or year or anywhere near the top of their most viewed videos. Similar to what we've seen elsewhere in this category so far, it seems like there's less interest in breaking videos in the past year or so overall. I think this might also be just generally saying that there is less interest in breaking in recent months in general than there was during the card boom. I guess that's not really a surprise. I mean, I have heard of a lot of breakers who have gone out of business during the last year or so. So yeah, I think breaking is still very popular. Don't get me wrong, because these channels are hugely watched. It's just that it's pretty clear to me from looking at these first four that there is a general slowdown in interest in breaking, it seems, at least in watching breaks. I don't know, maybe a lack of stamina in this space. And then the last one, Ziri, basically shows the same viewership patterns as these other ones, but then this is a channel that's specifically related to hockey. All these Canadians on here are basically following the same patterns and paths as from all of these. So let's consider like a few takeaways from this kind of category. The first one I wanted to mention is overall this category has way more viewership than any other category we'll look at, by a hugely significant amount. If you were to make a list and not separate them into categories, maybe like 18 of the biggest 20 would be related to either ripping packs or running breaks. Part of it is it was the extreme level of interest that was there a year or two ago. There's still a lot of interest in this space now. It's just not like it was then. Whereas we'll see in the other categories, sometimes there's a growing interest in some other kinds of topics. However, takeaway number 2 is that a lot of breaking and pack ripping channels are getting less viewership with their more recent videos. It seems like 4 of the 5 channels here have lost a lot of momentum since the days of the sports card boom, with Pac-Man being the one exception that seems to continue to build momentum. With every new video, he's getting a ton of views. To me, that means that people still like watching packs being ripped. They just don't find the need to watch that happen on channel after channel. But again, like I said, this is still the most watched category of sports card video content, so it's still a popular pastime in general to watch people opening packs. And part of the reason Pac-Man's channel is probably getting so many views is he's hit a certain threshold of viewership where the algorithm is just gonna always be pushing out his videos. You know, once you get that many subscribers and that many views consistently, the algorithm's going to be pushing his videos out really well. So that also is, I'm sure, a large part of the reason his channel is doing so well by comparison. All right, the next category we're going to look at is vlogs. Now, 4 of the 5 channels in this category focus on following someone's journey to different card shows. And then the other one is Chasing Cardboard, which is about the journey to find and buy larger scale full collections from people around the country. And by the way, that's probably my favorite channel of all. The 5 largest sports card vlogs related channels that we'll look at here are, number 5 is Chasing Cardboard with about 18.2 thousand subscribers. Number 4 is Someone Talk to Keen with about 20.3K subscribers. Number 3 is Roth Cards with 20.7 thousand subscribers. Number 2 is Mojo Sports with 33,000 subscribers. And number 1 is Card Collector 2 with 85.2 thousand subscribers. Now, first of all, keep in mind, these subscriber numbers are significantly lower than the ripping packs breaking subscriber numbers from that first category. That being said, I wanted to include this as a specific category because it's a kind of category that does attract a base of people who really like card shows and vlogs. It's also a category of channels that I think tends to be more attractive to a younger crowd. Besides the old geezers over there at Chasing Cardboard, sorry Ty and Mike, but don't worry, I'm an old geezer now too. But the other 4 channels, they're all run by 20-somethings who have a certain kind of almost coolness factor to their personality. There's a kind of almost youthful energy with these sports card vlog channels, I would suggest. All right, so now let's look at the some of the most popular videos from each of these 5 channels. We'll start with the number 1, was Card Collector 2. Now, Card Collector 2 is the largest channel in this category, and at first I didn't think I was going to put it in this category since he actually does a whole lot of non-vlog kind of videos as well. But after looking at which videos on his channel are the most popular, I realized this really is more of a vlog channel than anything else. The most popular videos are vlogs of card shows or vlogs of trade nights or vlogs of sports card business life. I should also mention that of the different channels in this category, this is the only one that would be like a top 10 largest channel if you were to not categorize things. So it's maybe the 5th largest sports card related channel. I think it does better than other vlog channels because One, it mixes in more of the business aspects of sports cards. So it's not just kind of a repeat of the same thing all the time. It's well done in those kind of videos, and it has a mixture. It's mostly vlogs, but it has a mixture. It has some box openings. It has other things, and I think that brings in a wider swath of people, and also it brings in a lot of young people. You know, he does things like trade nights, children's trade nights, youth trade nights at his card shop that he runs. So I think he's got a lot of people coming in who are younger and subscribing, you know, because they're also participating in these different things that he's involved with. So I think that's part of the reason he's also getting a lot of viewers. The next one we'll look at is Mojo Sports, which I would say is the largest of the channels that is purely only vlog style sports card show kind of videos, you know, because Card Collector 2 has a mixture. Looking at the most watched videos on this channel, most of them are from about the past year or so, despite the fact that the channel has been posting videos for about 8 years. But it wasn't until like a year or maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, that the channel shifted towards a more vlog-oriented style, and that's when the channel seems to have taken off more from what I'm seeing here. All of the most viewed videos are within that more recent span of time, a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It seems to me like new sports card show related vlogs and stuff, those kind of videos continue to do quite well on the channel right now as well. And I think this is a point to keep in mind, that we'll see some patterns with all 5 of these channels. All right, the next one is Roth Cards. This is the third largest of the vlog style sports card channels. And besides a few random kind of videos from 3 years ago, it seems like the rest of the most popular videos on this channel are from about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And just like Mojo Sports, new videos tend to get towards the top of the most watched list on their channels pretty quickly as well. The next one is Someone Talk to Keen. This is actually probably my personal favorite of the card show vlog channels out there. And this one has grown exponentially in recent months. It was just a couple months ago I put out a video of some of my favorite smaller YouTube channels. I think I was mentioning everything that has like under 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and this channel was actually on that list at that time. So it's kind of some wildly fast momentum going on here, that this went from, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 up to 20,000 subscribers in a very short amount of time. This channel is really very young. I think it started only about a year ago, maybe a tiny bit more than that. And really, none of the videos have gotten kind of a viral push, which a lot of channels have to have, like some video that pushes it viral. This one just kind of gets a steady stream of interest in all the different stuff, but it's all within this past year. So I think that's kind of interesting, because, you know, you're seeing a pattern here where in the previous category of kind of breaks and ripping packs, there's tons of interest, but they're generally, over the past 2 years, it seems like it's a slowdown in interest, even though there's still a lot of it. Whereas these card show vlogs, most of these are relatively new, and though they're smaller by comparison, it seems like there's real momentum building in this category. I just find that really fascinating. I think there's a lot of interest in card shows. That's one of the takeaways. I'll get to more takeaways later, but let's look at the fifth one first. The fifth one in this category is Chasing Cardboard. And as I said before, this is probably my very favorite sports card channel of all. It's kind of like American Pickers, but for sports card people. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're aware of that channel. It's great. It really isn't similar in style or substance to any of the other videos in this category, though. Really, in some ways, it's just a category of its own, but people are attracted to it because it's well made, really well made. I mean, it looks like a television show. I would suggest it's kind of an outlier. So, you know, in this video, again, I'm kind of trying to see what are the different mindsets of the hobby that we can gain, that we can try to understand by looking at what people are actually watching and interested in. This one's kind of an outlier just because it's so unique, it's so good, it's so well produced that I think people are watching it just because of that. And in fact, I'm surprised how few subscribers there are here so far. All right, so let's look at a few other just general takeaways from this category of sports card vlogs, just to see what we can see. So one thing is, there actually aren't a ton of vlog style channels out there, but there definitely seems to be an interest in this style of video that has grown in the last maybe 2 years or so. Previous to 2 years ago, it seems like card show vlog videos were pretty much non-existent, but they have been becoming more and more popular and continue to gain momentum. While this category as a whole is smaller than other categories, it seems to be something where viewership grows faster. Most of the channels in this category are actually pretty new, but have gained a following really quickly. A second takeaway is all of these channels have a lot of focus on kind of the money-making aspects of the hobby, the kind of hustle, flipping things. And the popular card show vlog videos do show a lot of this hustling, this wheel and dealing, to buy and sell inventory at a really quick pace. It seems like an area of the hobby where there's quite a few people who have a real interest, especially younger people, I would say.